Hello, good morning, and welcome to Monday Mentor. I'm Jenn Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict, cultivate communication, and create empowered teams. And today on Monday Mentor, it's me. It's a solo mini workshop with Jenn. I get a lot of questions about the skill that leaders need. Like, what are the types of skills that I need to be a better leader? How do I get this promotion? How do I avoid burnout? How do I develop all of these skills that I need to be a better leader? And there are a lot of skills that you need, but the number one skill that you need that is proved by research and my experience is self-awareness. Now, people think self-awareness is this kind of like, oh, term. It's just like, I'm going to do some navel gazing and I'm going to be aware. Um, but what really is self-awareness? That's what we're going to talk about today. What is self-awareness and how do we get it? And what is the impact that it has on us as leaders? So if you are here live, let me know that you're here live. Tell me in the comments. If you are watching on the replay, leave me a comment and I will come back and say hello. If you've got questions, please drop them in the comments, and because I would love to know, what do you think about self-awareness? What is the skill that feels so vague? Do you have an idea of what self-awareness is? And if you do, how does it help you in your leadership? That's some of the things we're going to talk about today. So, as with any mini workshop, I've got some great slides for you to help you follow along with what I'm saying, because sometimes when we start talking about things that are not tangible, we can't touch self-awareness. It's not something I can pick up like my giant water bottle. It's not something you can touch like your hair. Self-awareness is an internal concept. And so in order to make that more real, we use models. Models are really helpful in visualizing and learning the skill of self-awareness. So I did not create this model, but it's called a Jahari window. And the Jahari window starts with what is known to us and what is known to others. This is one aspect of self-awareness, and we call it open. If you have spent any time with me, you have figured out that I talk a little quickly, I talk with my hands, I laugh pretty loudly. All of those things are out in the open. And when they're out in the open, that is when we can do something to change. Not every aspect of ourselves is helpful. I mean, I hope that you know that you're not perfect. I mean, I imagine that you do. I was confronted with my not perfectness just earlier today on missing a deadline. So there are things like that we're not perfect, but when it's out in the open, I know that I missed that deadline with my assistant. I can then email her, I can correct it. Things in the open can change. That's where the space of self-awareness has a lot of power. But I hope that you notice there are 3 other quadrants on this Jahari window that make up other aspects of self-awareness. So we're going to get to those, but I want to talk to you about why self-awareness is so important. So there's lots of research about leadership. We, especially in the West, are really obsessed with understanding leadership skills. And so many studies have shown that self-awareness is the number one skill. So it shows that self-aware leaders are the ones that have more highly empowered teams. They are less stressed. They are more likely to build profitable companies. They are the ones that get more promotions, and they're the ones that tend to last longer, meaning they don't burn out. So when we can develop this skill of self-awareness and we can get to the things that are in the open, that is where self-awareness has all the power. So how do we get to open? How do we work through? What are these other quadrants that we have? So the next one is what is hidden from others, but we know what it is. Now we call that facade. Facade are the inner workings of how we think, how we feel, and sometimes even how we act that has a different meaning than what other people may assume. And facade isn't necessarily bad, but it's hidden. and it's not in the open space. When something is not in the open space, it's really hard to do something about it. It's hard to develop the skills that you need when it's not open. Now, things that start in facade, you can do a lot. The things that are hidden from you and known to yourself. There's great introspection that can happen. Journaling can happen. Starting to understand your deeper motivations. All of that can happen with just facade. But until others know about it, it can't really affect them. It can't, that's why leaders have to self-disclose some. So for example, most of you who see me here, you don't tend to see my deep conversational face. When I'm really thinking, I have a thinking face that looks like this. And I have learned over the years, because of another quadrant we'll get to, that people think I'm really angry. And because in general, my resting face is a happy face, they're really concerned with this intense face. They think I'm either upset or angry or confused, and it doesn't help our communication. So I have learned to self-disclose. I'm really listening to you right now. This is just my thinking face. It immediately calms people because now it's out in the open and they're not creating their own meaning about it. I have shared the motivation. I have shared, here's what's going on. And they're like, oh, okay. And now they can continue to communicate without trying to negotiate what my face is about. That is just one example of healthy self-disclosure to your team. So that's what's in facade. The next skill involved in self-awareness is your blind spot. As you can see in our lovely quadrant, it's known to others, but it's hidden from you. It's hidden from ourselves. And I had this really big blind spot one time, and I genuinely had no idea. So as we've already discussed, I tend to be jovial and happy. My resting face tends to be fairly enjoyable because I am genuinely enjoying things. But I also discovered from a leader who shared with me one time, sometimes your laughter undercuts your authority. I was, what? What do you mean? I mean, everybody loves laughter. Come on. When actually, he was right. It was a blind spot for me. He noticed that I would laugh in situations to try to alleviate tension rather than allowing the tension to be what it was and motivating people in the correct and proper way. I was taking off some of the responsibility off of them and making light of a situation that actually didn't need to be taken lightly. It was actually very serious. And I knew it was serious, but my nervous laughter was starting to undercut my authority as a leader. That was incredibly helpful feedback. And that is how you get from your blind spot into open. I didn't know. I didn't know that my laughter was undercutting my authority and causing people to not take me seriously as a leader. So understanding that, because I got feedback is what moves us from the blind spot into open. And then I could start to notice it. I could start to adjust my behavior. Again, back to all the great things that are involved in open. So these are three aspects of self-awareness, but then we have a fourth one, and that's the unknown. So what do we do with the unknown? If you are watching, I am curious what you think the unknown might be. How do you discover something that is hidden from yourself and hidden from others? How do we get out of that space, this big, scary, dark space? So there are a few ways for us to start to explore what is hidden from us and hidden from others. My favorite is understanding your personality. So the personality tool that I love to use is called the Enneagram. If you're saying Ennea what, it's okay. If you've never heard of it, the Enneagram is a personality framework. It's a personality wisdom tool that helps us understand why, the deep whys, why we think, act, and feel the way we do. So when this ancient wisdom tool helps us see why we might be doing something, it starts to reveal the unknown. There are other personality tools. I tend to put them in the blind spot category. Myers-Briggs and DISC and Colby and Strengths Finders are all wonderful, and they can show us where some of our blind spots are. But the Enneagram can dig into the unknown in a way that no other tool really can. It shows us why I am motivated for something. So when I am confused and it's hidden from other people and it's hidden from me, I can start to use the stories that I understand from the Enneagram to start to dig into, oh, this might be why I am responding to this email this way, or why this one person irritates me on my team, or what about this brief, this creative brief is causing me problems. All of those things, if when they're hidden from you and you don't know, you have to get them to open. And you can't go straight from unknown to open. You have to go through facade and then up into open. And that's how you start to work with the Enneagram as a self-development tool, as a leadership tool, because it's part of this number one skill we need, and that's self-awareness. So these aspects of self-awareness are key in creating a stronger leader. And I believe firmly that the best leadership starts with yourself. Self-leadership begins with ruthless self-honesty and generous self-compassion. And how do we get there? How do we move through this generous self-compassion and ruthless self-honesty? How do we pair those two together? Well, it starts with curiosity. And so curious about, where am I? What am I doing right now? And as we're all planning, December, some of us are like, whoo, I'm done for the year. Other people are running toward the end. It's a great time to reflect. It's a great time to start that curiosity project in ourselves. What's working for me? What's not working for me? And as soon as I say that, I can imagine some of you might feel a little overwhelmed. So tell me in the comments, does that overwhelm you, or does that excite you to start doing some reflection? I know for me, it's a little bit of both. It's not either or. I can feel a little intimidated by that, especially if I don't have a framework or a process to walk through self-reflection. Am I just like sitting here? What questions do I ask myself? How do I know what the standards are? All those types of questions come up. I have a workshop for you to help you. It's called the Catalyst Impact Leadership Audit. It is a free workshop I'm offering next Tuesday, December 6th. And we're going to go through some of these key skills and help you assess yourself. Take a little audit and see, is this working for me right now? Is this not working for me right now? So I am going to drop the link in the comments. You can also use the QR code, and that will help you get to the right spot to register. But here's what we're going to do in the workshop, just so you know what you're getting into and have an idea. So the first thing we're going to do is discover the leadership lift model. So this is a model I've developed that helps you understand how you move out of that space of languishing, out of that space where the unknown is controlling you, and into a space of flourishing for you as a leader, you as your whole life, because we're whole people, and your team. How do you stay above the line? How do you stay in this space of flourishing? And then we're going to complete a leadership audit. So I have developed a model called the Catalyst Compass, and it takes you through three large areas of leadership. Self-awareness is what covers some of it, but there are other skills that you need as a leader, because you can't stop with being aware. Self-awareness as the number one skill is the foundation you build the rest of your leadership skills upon. So the Catalyst Compass is going to take you through all of these other leadership skills that will help you stay in that space of flourishing and away from the space of burnout and exhaustion. It is. And then we're also going to figure out where you're going really strong, because I know it's not all bad. It can feel all bad sometimes. I know it does. But I am positive there are some things that are going well for you. So we're going to help you figure out what's going really strong. What do you need to keep repeating? And then we're going to also help you say, oh, here's where I need to go next. Here's the next thing I need to do to improve my leadership. So those are the three things we will do on Tuesday, December 6th. It is a free workshop. I would love for you to come, because here's what I know about it. I know that the people who have attended this workshop walk away with some clarity and confidence in where they need to go next. And what would that feel like to start 2023 feeling like, oh, I know really well, here's where I need to keep going. This is going to get me where I want to go. Here's where I actually want to go. Some clarity around that. And also feeling like I know that these are the skills that I need to work on, rather than being some nebulous thing like, oh, I just need to get better. But no, I need to improve this. And here's how I'm going to improve that. And that's the power of starting with self-awareness. That's why all of the research shows that self-awareness is the number one skill that you need. It starts with understanding who you are and getting things into the open. So remember, when we're looking at that Jahari window, I'm going to put the slide back up really quickly so you can see it. When we're looking at that window, the unknown is really scary. And the Catalyst Leadership Lab is going to help you figure out a little bit about what's in that unknown, possibly help you see what's in some of your blind spots, and move you into open, where you can start to change, where you can start to act on your self-awareness knowledge to help you move into that space of flourishing. Because just moving it into open is the opportunity space. There's some more to do after that. But that is why self-awareness is that number one skill as a leader. When my leader, his name was Josh, told me that my laughter was undercutting my authority, I really was shocked. But it was some of the most helpful feedback I've ever received as a leader, because I had no idea. I had no idea. It was completely in my blind spot. But when I started to bring it into the open, not only could I start to be aware of when my laughter was undercutting my authority, I could then ask for help from other trusted people to say, how do I adjust this? What are some things I need to do to avoid the laughter when it's not helpful, and move into that space that was kind and not undermining my authority, but kind leadership that I wanted to express, that was the motivation behind my laughter. I got feedback from trusted people, continued feedback from Josh. It was really incredible. Without having that type of person in your life, it's really hard to see. And I hope that you will come to the Catalyst the Catalyst Impact Leadership Audit, because I know it will help you start to see where are some of the places that I'm doing really well, and some of the places you want to get that feedback, some of the places where you need to explore the facade and move them into open. So it is next Tuesday, December 6th. It's in the afternoon. You can find all the details at the link, jennwhitmer.com/catalyst impact. You can there it is, the QR code to take you there. And I really hope that you invested this time in yourself. December can be so full. You've got end of year reports. You're also planning for the next year. All these things are happening at once. But if you carve out a small amount of time for yourself to take this time to do the reflection, to start to dig into the unknown, it's going to pay off in huge dividends, because you will feel that clarity and you will feel that confidence of knowing where you're going and knowing how to stay outside of burnout and languishing and insecure, and staying in confidence and freedom and flourishing. And that's what I want for you. When I talk about creating empowered teams, it always starts with you. It always starts with you. So take some time for yourself and come to the free workshop, Catalyst Impact. It's at jennwhitmer.com/catalyst impact. And I hope that I will see you on Tuesday. And next week, we have another fantastic Monday Mentor. I can't wait to see you then at 1 p.m. Eastern. Have a great afternoon.